Hello. Yeah. Um, I have a lot to say and I don't know how to say it, but basically, I'm 24. I don't know what to do with my life. Um, I carry a lot of shame within me, a lot of self-doubt, and I feel like I have some things that I've like discovered along the way that could help people out, but at the same time, I'm like, girl, you don't fucking know anything. Like, what are you doing? But at the same time, like, I'm living this life, so I still have an experience. You know, I have perspective, and basically, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. How many times am I going to say that, you know? Probably a lot. I already have before. I'm coming to terms with the fact that I may have to settle. I know a lot of people say, don't do that and don't allow yourself to settle, you know, because why would you settle? But, like, also, not all of us can be that cool person that's living, you know, the part-time barista artist on the other part-time kind of life, you know, or influencer life. You know, a lot of people are aspiring to be that, myself included. Not everybody can be a doctor, not everybody can be a lawyer, you know, even things like that. And I've already been trying to do what I want to do with my life, or not even just like with my life. That's my first thing. Stop saying my life. Stop thinking about your entire future. I would say probably just think within like the next 2 to 5 years. That's something that's helped me a lot and helped me feel more comfortable in everything that I'm doing and the decisions I'm making. I forgot what I was saying already. Settling, yes. I'm settling, essentially. I'm getting a real job. Real job. That is something different to everybody. To me, a real job is essentially just something that's more so 9 to 5. I have a set amount of days that I can request off, and I am not allowed to choose my hours as easily as I am right now. Right now, I am just a barista. I've been doing this since I started working, honestly. I think it's like 6 years now. I've been part-time barista, part-time trying to do this because I like being vulnerable in this sense, and possibly helping other people and just connecting, you know? And yeah, I don't know why I gravitate to this, but essentially a lot of the times when I'm having a pretty moment with just my life or with friends and I'm connecting with somebody, or I make a discovery in my life that helps me feel more centered and okay with life, I always think of like, oh, how would I put that in a video? Like, I don't know, my mind just immediately goes to like how it would look in a video. And I don't know, to me, my intuition, that's just like, oh, this is what you should be doing. And I'm not saying I'm the smartest person. By all means, I am definitely not the smartest person, you know. I wouldn't say I'm a life coach or anything like that, but you know, as I said, I'm a person having an experience, and maybe somebody else connects with that. Maybe I help somebody understand what they're going through. And so yeah, right now I'm at a point where I feel like I have to settle. I've been doing this for so long and I've not gotten anywhere close to where I want to be. And that's partly my fault. I don't know if I have some like imposter syndrome thing going on or something else, but I'm not consistent at all with what I want to do. No matter how many ideas I have or how much I want to do it, I just don't. And so I'm getting a real job. I'm settling. And it's not something that I'm entirely happy about, but it's something that I think is still gonna be beneficial for me and not too crazy from the work-life balance that I have right now. It's gonna be a little bit more individual. I realized maybe not just coffee itself, but just service industry in general might not be for me because I keep running into the same issues time and time again. And it's just like the same, like, you know, I'm not going to go into more detail about that, but I'm just like, why not try something different? And so I'm not going to school, but I am taking a course and it's going to be in the medical industry. I'm going to be a little bit more on my own. I will have coworkers, but my work won't really be dependent on their work. And I'm hoping to be able to find a job within that industry that allows me to be more so just like office hours as to hospital hours. And I'm trying to think about it positively. So yes, I may not be able to take off as much as I want to, like I do now. Yes, I may not be able to choose my schedule, but I want to have more money. And that is a positive because I do believe money buys happiness, and I will be able to live a little bit more comfortably. Maybe actually take a trip on vacation instead of just taking a few days off. And I don't know, I'm thinking maybe within 5 years when I have enough experience under my belt, maybe within 3 years, 2 years, I don't know the specifics yet, but maybe I can use it in New York, where I want to be, at least try to be for a year, because it seems really exciting to me, and I just feel like I need that experience in my life. And so I want to be, especially, okay, pause, not just because New York, whatever. Yes, it's cool and it's a beautiful city, but I do want to see who I am outside of everybody that I know and the comfortability of living with my parents, and seeing the kind of person that I would be. So that is why I want to do that. But I also just do love the vibes that New York comes with. So that's my 5-year plan. And it's also hard right now being in your mid-20s. I'm 24. I'm gonna start making dinner. It's also hard being in your 20s right now because what is going on with the world? There's something new happening every single day. I was talking about this at work today. I am not even trying to think about the future. I'm not too much. I'm just trying to take it day by day because honestly, who the fuck knows what's gonna happen? It's honestly a miracle that I wake up every other day because obviously I'm brown. And just a plethora of other things that I know you know what I'm talking about. And so that has also helped me to realize that I need to just think about now. And if I want to think about the future, think about it in a minimal amount of years as to the rest of my life. And also it's made me realize how many phases I'm going to have, how many chances I have in my life. Because if I think about this 5 years seems like a lot to me right now. Now that I shortened that time. 5 years is like, wow, that's I have a lot of time. Like, I don't have to rush through this, you know. It'll take me where it takes me, and if it doesn't take me where I don't want it to take me, or if it doesn't take me where I want it to take me, you know, I'll figure it out. I'll find something new. And it's just made me realize I have, at least from now till 5 years, it's going to take me to 30, 35, 40, 45. That's still 20 years. You know, that's 4 chances of like figuring out what I want to do, and even more. I'm really just now like, I lost my train of thought. Give me a second. I don't think settling is all that bad either in the situation that I am in. I've come to realize there is always something to learn within whichever situation you're in. And for me, I would say the positive is me taking a course, having to take classes. Yes, although it's not like your basics or anything, because I don't even have my associates, I am still appreciative of the fact that it's going to get my brain juices flowing again, you know. I do want to start trying to work on my associates. I want to finish out the course that I'm taking right now first, and then after I want to go for my associates. I feel like I'm losing a lot of neurons in my brain and stuff, and so I do want to do that. But for now, I'm going to focus on the decision that I just made about doing that course. And although I'm settling, and if you're in the same position, you know, I know it feels horrible realizing that you might never achieve your dream. You know, just because it's not your main focus anymore doesn't mean that you can't still do it. You know, I'm still doing this, you know, and it suddenly changes. The only thing that's truly changing is the phrasing that you use when you do it. You know, suddenly it's not, oh, I'm trying to chase my dream. Now it's just a hobby, you know. But you never know. Hobbies can turn into something else, you know. I've seen it with other people. You never know. Maybe whatever it is that you want to do suddenly takes off, even though it's just a hobby. And now you can just focus on that again, you know, or it just stays as a hobby. But now at least you have the pressure off of it and you can enjoy it on a different level. Lost my track of thought again. I wrote all this down in like a fancy poem. I don't even know if you can call it a poem. I just kind of write my thoughts and feelings down, try to make it rhyme so I can call it a poem, you know. Whatever it is, it is. But I'm trying to just like go off of it, off memory, so I keep spacing out. You know, I look back at myself, and currently I feel like I haven't accomplished much. But then thinking about myself before I even moved here to Texas, which is not where I want to be per se, but I'm here. I changed my surroundings. I did something that I wanted to do, even though it wasn't the location that I wanted. I did what I could within my circumstances, and it's brought me closer to myself. I now express myself. My eyebrows are dyed, something that I would have never done before. I'm more open with my family, not to where I want to be, but I'm slightly there, you know, just them seeing me like this is a lot for me. And I still want to do more and get further. Seeing that change is what also helps me stay positive and looking towards the future. And even if I don't get to the future that I imagine, this isn't the future that I imagined. I never imagined myself in Texas, but here I am. And yet I've achieved things that I didn't think I would. I'm closer to the person that I wanted to be, and still I don't see this as my final form, but I'm 10 steps closer than what I was back in my hometown. And all of this to say, yes, it took me this long, 4 years into my 20s to get to this point, but every single setback, every single mountain, as Miley Cyrus would say, though in the moment was heartbreaking and horrible, I now have a different understanding of it. And I truly do think that life is literally just a series of lessons, unfortunately. And sometimes there are only small moments of enjoyment within those mountains, but it really is those small moments of enjoyment and happiness that pull you through the next uphill battle until you get to that next happy moment. I'm kind of rambling again, but basically, moral of the story is, don't think about the rest of your life. Try and just think about 5 years at a time, less if possible. If you don't know what you want to do in life, that's also okay. I also feel like I don't know what I want to do in life, and this is kind of just like I feel like that's the best option, but even then it's not something that's like, yes, like I don't feel like I feel as passionate for it as I see other people when it comes to them doing what they want to do with their life, and that's also a little bit discouraging, because I'm like, well, am I choosing the correct path for myself? As long as you somewhat enjoy what you're doing, in all honesty, and you can see yourself continuing for the next 5 years, and hopefully you're able to make ends meet, whatever you define as successful, if you're achieving that, honestly, nothing else matters. And settling is sometimes okay. At the end of the day, you're gonna end up learning something about yourself. It's gonna help redirect you. For me personally, a big obstacle has been, oh, I'm not interesting, I'm not cool enough, basically I don't feel enough for a lot of things, and even just my self-expression. And even in the pursuit of me trying to be these things that I want to be, but only achieving them and using others as an example for what I want to be, as unattainable as me doing that would feel at times, it still led me closer to where I am now, and figuring things out about myself that I probably wouldn't have if I hadn't even tried. So just try, just try anything and everything that you feel like going for, feeling, experimenting with. And as hard as people have it, I am in a very privileged position, aside from being brown. I do know how lonely and disappointing life can feel at times, and how it can feel for people right now at the moment. Some people, unfortunately, it's just struggle after struggle after struggle. And it sucks to just think, well, there's something in here that I have to learn. There's a lesson here. There's a lesson here, like, when the fuck am I gonna have no more lessons, It really is to me, I feel like the thing that kept me going was just having the realization moment after having the lesson and being like, oh, this is what that was about. This is what I'm supposed to take away from it, you know? And like I said, just those small moments that make all the shittiness worthwhile, you know? And so, yeah, this is life in my 20s, you know? This is life. Yeah, I don't remember anything else that I have to say about it, but oh, actually, Sex and the City. Sex and the City is a show that you should watch. It definitely helped me also feel a little bit better about settling, because these two of them at least have very, very normal jobs. There's Samantha, that's a PR person, and then there's Miranda, that's a lawyer. I'd more so say leaning on the Miranda side, you know, because being a PR person still, I think, is living that kind of like coolish lifestyle, because obviously you get certain opportunities that others might not be able to receive. But these girls still live such a full and exciting life that I think a lot of us are trying to chase after while still maintaining somewhat of a normal life, or just like trying to find it within our futures and what we imagine. They give me a little bit of hope within me settling and getting a real job, you know. For some reason, I equate a real job with the loss of my creativity, the loss of my freedom, the loss of my personality as a whole. And I don't know if this was just as like a self-sabotage preteen me thinking, you know, or if it's just me being scared of having a normal life and coming to the realization that yes, I might not be able to just live, you know. And I feel like a lot of people who go for social media as more of a career stance, which nothing wrong about it, because you can still be creative and be, you know, just a genuine real person through it. I feel like some people do go to social media just as a career because of all the opportunities that it makes for people, and that idea of just being able to live, you know, because you record stuff and somehow you, with the luck of the universe, you know, you make enough to live your life, travel, you know, do whatever you want, and all you do is just hit record and edit. Obviously, there's a lot more work that goes into it, but in the grand scheme of things, you know, it seems pretty simple. It seems simpler than getting a doctorate, you know, and working 12-hour, 18-hour days. And so maybe I was just scared of coming to that realization, you know, or letting go of the easy route, you know. But at the end of the day, for me personally, I do think it's more so on the creativity side. I don't have the luxury of remembering my childhood. Whoa, dark, I know. But one thing I do remember is that I would draw a lot, you know. I do feel like when I am creative, I genuinely do reconnect with my younger self. And I'm still trying to find out what she wanted, you know. But in doing this, I feel like it's a way for me to connect with her, you know, and just figure out, maybe from doing this, I remember what it was that I wanted to do or wanted to be. And having to settle definitely scared me, but seeing the girls on Sex and the City still continue to have an exciting and creative life, and what seemed like a very sought after experience of life, you know, it definitely helped me to feel a little bit more calm within my decision. And, you know, even if it's not something that I actually end up liking or sticking with, you know, it's still something else that I have under my belt. Like, I also was a auto insurance salesperson at one time. You know, I know a little bit of car insurance now. And yeah, you know, it's just something extra. I meet people along the way, you know, you never know. Maybe I meet a rich doctor that ends up being my husband, you know, but definitely, yeah, like just take life day by day, find the little bits of enjoyment that it can offer, because it can get dark and scary, unfortunately. But I'm only 24 years in, so we'll see if later on I change my mind about any of this. You know, change is also acceptable. We, like I said, meet new people, have new experiences. Change isn't always a bad thing. And it's okay to contradict yourself, because I know it's hard to take a stance on things as well, because you don't want to contradict yourself, and that's also okay. Like, if I come out within 5 years and then choose to delete everything that I've ever posted, that's fine too. There's nothing wrong in that. There's nothing wrong with changing when it comes to that. And social media itself, even just from a viewer's standpoint, can be very polarizing and confusing. And even though you're not actively active within participation, you know, it can feel like you're also a part of it and you might be at fault. But, you know, we're all just people. We're all just living, you know. We might accidentally be mean to somebody, you know. We're just policing each other. I know this is going on a rant, kind of, but, you know, all of these things kind of have to do with one another. Everything's connected. But it does feel like we are policing each other at times, and even though you're not partaking in anything, it can feel scary. But honestly, just be you, do what you can, do what you want, and I generally do think life will just take you where you need to be. And to the people that are in a tough spot, you know, just reach out to the people that you have, and if you don't have anybody, look for the good moments, you know, and just try your best. That's honestly all we can do. But on that note, I am going to finish my lunch. Yes, I know I was making dinner, but I like to do things as fast as I can. I just got home from work. So I am gonna eat my lunch, or snack, I guess. It's not really lunch anymore. And then leave some room for dinner whenever my dad gets home. But I hope this video helped in any way, shape, or form. I'm getting emotional now, and I don't know why. And that's okay, you know? I'm learning to let myself feel emotions too, so even though I don't know where these tears are coming from, you know, I'm just gonna let them do their thing. But I will see you guys whenever I see you. I am not going to force myself to do anything. It is simply a hobby now, you know, and hobbies, you do them when you do them. So see you when I see you.